Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Tip Tuesday. Gee, it comes around quick, doesn't it? Which is awesome. So, for today's Tip Tuesday, we're going to be going through leaves, propagating plants from leaves. So, today I've picked Echeveria, just because, well, they're coming out of dormancy now, and I don't know at your place, but here at the moment, they're actually growing, and it's really exciting to see. So, yeah, we're going to just take leaves off them. But before you're actually going to take leaves, it's very important to make sure that your plants are well hydrated. So you want the leaves to be nice and plump. By making them nice and plump, it's actually quite easy to remove the leaves from the actual plants. So whether you're going to take them from the pups, like here, so I've got Echeveria lilacina here, and I'm running out of, well, plants or stock for them. So I'm going to take them from leaves, and I'm actually going to remove the pups here. So you'll see just there, two really nice, beautiful pups. And lilacina is just an absolute beautiful plant. It's probably one of my favorites. I love the farina. It just develops on the plant, and it just has a really beautiful shape to it as well. So yeah, very important to make sure that it's nice and hydrated. So you give it some water a few days beforehand, and just monitor the plant. It's a really good time to do it is not long after some rain, the way the rain just naturally does it for you, and then the plants will plump up. And I'm also going to do, so I'm going to do lilacina, and I'm also going to do Echeveria neon breakers, and what a stunning plant it is, a beautiful plant. So this one here is, so it's just got its main rosette from last spring, whereas this one here, we actually head chopped it, and look at all the pups coming on it, all the different rosettes, so that's really exciting there. So before we really get into it, make sure you like, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification button as well for any future videos that we do, and you'll get notified when we upload them. So yeah, all you're really going to need is, you can use like a budding knife, just like that, or just an ordinary knife, probably not a serrated knife, probably one with a smooth edge on it. You can use some scissors or secateurs, although sometimes secateurs can make it a little bit hard to really get underneath the main rosette of the plant to remove the pups if you're doing that. So yep, personal preference, but just be careful if you're using a knife, because they can be really sharp, and the last thing you want to do is cut yourself. So yeah, I'm just going to start off with taking the lilacina pups off. You can do it while the plant is still in the actual pot, or some people just think it's easier just to take the plant straight out of the pot, and that way you can get nicely around there. Sometimes the rosettes are, maybe like this neon breakers might be too big, and it might just be a little bit difficult to try and get in there and try and remove this pup. So sometimes it can be easier to take it out of the pot. So all I'm going to do is, sometimes you can just do it by hands if you want, with your fingers as well sometimes. So, but I'm just going to do, these ones are pretty easy, so I'm just going to use my scissors. I was about to say secateurs. And that's all it is there. So I'm going to just remove, these couple of dead leaves off. I don't really need them. And it's up to you whether you want to. You can put a little bit of rooting hormone on the little pups that you've just removed. You can use cinnamon. So cinnamon is also a natural fungicide as well. So it'll help with any, to prevent any fungal issues there as well at the base. So you can just let that callus for a couple of days, and then put it into a dry mix. Or you can even do it now, but as long as your mix is quite dry. So you can let it callus and do it over a wet mix. But yeah, really important to, if it is going in a wet mix, to make sure that your callus, the end of your cutting has been calloused over. And I'm just gonna, so this is nice and plump, this pup, and I'm just gonna gently just get my thumb and my index finger, so go as close as I can to the base of the leaf where it attaches onto the stem, and I'm just gonna do like a little wiggle to the side, just like that, nice and close, and whoop, fell off there, and then you just, yep, very easy to do that. So good way to tell is if you haven't taken the leaf off properly, is you'll still notice the end of the leaf is still attached to the stem. So there's a really high chance that that leaf there that you've just taken is probably going to die on you. So really important to make sure that your pups are actually nice and plump. Sorry, your leaves are plump, and yeah, then make sure you get that index finger, the thumb nice and close, and then you just wiggle them to the side, and they'll come off. And that's it really. So I've probably got about 5 leaves off that. there, and then all I'm going to do then is put that into a cell tray as well, or you can put it into a really tiny pot if you want. Just try and avoid watering for the first few weeks, or couple of weeks to a few weeks. That way, because it won't have a root system on it yet. So that means the mix that it's sitting in is going to stay wet for a little bit longer, and you can get stem rot on that pup there. So very important to just hold off. If you do decide to water, just maybe give them a little spray on the rosette. That's okay, but just don't drown them in water, or even let them out in rain if you're expecting rain. So yeah, then I'm just going to get the scissors again, take that one off. Then I've got a couple of dead leaves on it, remove them because I don't want them. And same thing, then I'm just going to get my index finger and my thumb right in there and just wiggle to the side, and you just take a heap of leaves off, and that's it really. And then you got a nice stem there, so good healthy stem, and that'll allow the roots to come out there, and away it'll go. And that's it really. So yeah, we've got I've got a few a couple of parent plants here that have some pups coming on them. So I'm just going to snip that there, put that one down, remove the dead leaves like I said before, because you don't need them. And yeah, very easy. Then you're just going to take those, just pull those leaves off. You can actually get a fair few leaves depending on the size of your pup actually, and also the variety of plant that you're doing too. So yeah, you can already see just from what those three pups, I've probably got a bit between 20 and 30 leaves right there. So Lilacina, from my experience, it strikes very well from leaves. So give that one a go if you've got Lilacina at home, and encourage you to take pups and then remove the pups and then take some leaves off it as well. So I'm just going to put these down here. So yeah, you can put them into like a cell tray, a small little pot if you want. We put them our cuttings and our leaves into these little cell trays here, so they've got 105 little cells here, and we just find it's just nice to have them all separate from, say, if I just fill this up with potting mix and just fill this with cuttings. I find it easier to do it this way, because then there's no competition. Once they do strike roots, they're not competing with one another, and then when the time comes for me to remove them out and put them into their own little pot, so like a 9 centimeter, sorry, that's not the right one, like a 9 centimeter pot, then it's going to come out of the cell really easily. I don't have to try and break roots and damage roots from another plant, so I didn't want to pull that one out if it was in the seedling tray. And also, it's going to reduce the chances of transplant shock as well. So the less that you can disturb the roots, the better the plant will be to begin with as well. So that's just from my experience. I just prefer to put them in their own little cells there, and away they go. So yeah, then we're gonna have a go at some neon breakers here. So this one, I probably could get this one with the scissors, but I'm just going to get it with a knife there. So it's always good to cut away from you, towards you, especially if you're holding the main rosette back there, the foliage back, and then you're going towards you, and then you accidentally get your finger. So it's always safer to go away. You can wear gloves if you want to, entirely up to you. And yeah, so I'm just going to try and find the base of that, and then I'm just going to give it kind of like a little bit of a saw action, and voila, there we go. So same thing. Remove any of the dead leaves on it. You can dab a little bit of cinnamon on it if you want to. You can just naturally let it callus over. We'll only use the cinnamon really on our really funny plants, so like your variegated plants that you just look at them and they could drop on you, sadly. So yeah, but stuff like neon breakers and Lilacina, I wouldn't even bother with the cinnamon, but if you want to, that's okay. So yeah, I'll just let that callus for a couple of days, especially if my mix is a bit wet. If it's dry, then I'll just put it in straight away and try and avoid the watering. So yeah, same thing, just get your thumb and your index finger nice and close to the stem, where the end of where the leaf actually attaches onto the stem. Give it a little wiggle, and away it comes off there. So yeah, really easy. Ones that are really tricky is your agavoides. They can be really hard to actually take leaves off as well. So yeah, some plants you'll find a lot easier than others, but just from experience, I find agavoides can be a real pain. So, but stuff like this, really easy. And yeah, that's it really. Really easy then. So yeah, then we'll get all of our, I'll just get the Lilacina leaves that I've picked off just before. That'll do. And all I'm going to do is, there's no right or wrong with this. Some people just like to leave it on top of the mix, allow the leaf to actually strike or start growing foliage, and then throw down roots, or sometimes they'll throw down roots first. And so yeah, some people just let them sit on top of the soil. Sorry, I don't want to lean this too far over in case the leaves fall off. So yeah, they'll just sit them on top there, and naturally the roots will eventually find their way down into the potting mix, and they'll just take their time and grow. I like to stick them in the mix. I just find sometimes it's just easier. Sometimes the mix stays a little bit wet, as opposed to just leaving them on top, because they'll be dry. So you got to try and make sure, especially when they're striking, that you got to keep them nice and moist. You don't want those roots to dry out too quick. So by putting them in the mix, I just find the mix stays a little bit wet for longer, and the roots will stay moist for longer as well. So that's just from my experience. But you know, if you want to do it leave them on top of the mix, that's okay. It's totally fine. It'll still do the same thing. So yeah, I just go one per cell, eventually fill it up. And so yeah, you put the end that you snapped off that was attached to the stem, you actually put that in the mix. Don't put it the other way around, because it won't really work. So yeah, we just do that all the way along. Sometimes if it's a really funny plant that's you don't get a high percentage rate of striking, sometimes we'll put 2 leaves to the 1 cell and hope that increases our chances there. And that's all it is really. So yeah, you see it'll just be full length of leaves, in the tray. So yeah, that's really cool. Give that a go if you haven't really thought about doing them from leaves. Always, I mean, it's entirely up to you whether you like to know the names of your plants or you don't. If you do, I'd probably, especially if you're new to it and you want to know your names, it's probably best to label those leaves as well, because until they actually start to really look like this Lilacina here, they can actually be a little bit hard to identify early on. And so yeah, always safe to label them. If you're not really worried about the leaves, or just ignore that with the labeling, you don't have to do that at all. And yeah, that's all you do really. So yeah, just mist spray them, or you can give them a quick hose. You don't want to make sure the mix is too wet, especially if they haven't really started growing any roots. And away they go really. Yep. So you can add some sea salt to it, that's fine. You can add some liquid fertilizer once they start to get going. Try to avoid pulling the leaf. Sometimes I get a bit excited too, and you start picking the leaves out, checking whether they got roots. And it's maybe that's one of the downsides of actually putting it in the mix. You can't actually see the end of the leaf and seeing whether there's actually roots or a plant growing from it. So yeah, try and avoid pulling them out and having a look. Otherwise, if they are just starting to strike roots, then you may actually break that root off, and then it's you got to wait even longer for it to get going. So yeah, try and avoid doing that. Just inspect them, make sure that they don't dry out too much, especially when they're actually starting to grow a new plant from the end of the leaf. And yeah, you can leave that, the new plant that grows is going to get all of its moisture, a lot of its water, but all of its nutrients from the actual main leaf here, or we'll call that the mother leaf. So yeah, you make sure that you don't pick that off early. It'll just naturally over time, once the new little plant has taken all of the nutrients it needs, that main leaf will actually die off, and once it's dead, then you can pull it off. That's fine, but just try and avoid doing it, while it's still alive. And that's it really. Yeah, so hopefully you found that helpful. Have a great week. Hopefully you're getting some beautiful spring weather your way, and Mr. Succulent's coming to say hi. And yeah, we'll catch you at the next Tip Tuesday. See yous.